You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. In this installment, are you a stalker-upper or a make-doer? If you don't know, your family will find out after you die. Also, Marcy's significant birthday trip to Mexico, which went a whole lot better than last year's trip to Mexico. You had talked about when your beloved sister died and you brought her cremains home to live in your house.
Yeah.
Until you figured out what to do with them, which only took about 15 years, I think, maybe 25, 30 years, something like that.
So it was a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this because, as you know, I lost a close family member recently, and
Yes.
and there are no cremains. There was a burial, but a lot of stuff has seemed to be arriving at my house. Not cremains, but just a heck of a lot of stuff. And I'm kind of thinking about how, you know, when you water a plant and the water kind of sits on top and it slowly is absorbed.
Yeah.
What am I going to do, for example, with 6 boxes of Hanukkah candles? Like, what? How, am I going to live that long?
Donate them.
No, I'm going to use them eventually. But here's the awful part. The elder who died,
Yeah.
I'm sure when this person stocked up on all this stuff, she thought, oh, yeah, sure, I'll use all this stuff before I die. And now I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to use like 5,000 rolls of toilet paper before I die. For sure I will.
Okay. Nobody in my family, and I mean like nobody, stocked up on anything ever.
Really?
Yeah.
You were not stalker-uppers? No?
No, I'm still not. I'm still like, oh no, we don't have any toilet paper. Grab a box of Kleenex. So, yeah, no, nobody stocks anything up in my family. Nobody did. My sister, I think she was 42, but she was a musician.
Right.
So she and her husband were very
transient.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They had an apartment, but they weren't there much because they were always on the road playing here or there on a cruise ship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my mom died, my dad was still there.
Right.
And then I was doing his shopping by then.
And you didn't
And
stock
like I
up
said,
for
I
you
don't
didn't
stock up.
stock up for the old man? No?
No, I go to Sam's Club and buy a big thing of toilet paper and split it in half and took half to my house and left half at his house.
I think that my brother, in this case, can't stand to waste anything. He's a big non-waster. He handed me a shopping bag, and I said, "What is in here?" It was clanking. He said, "Oh, it's all the lotions and hand lotions and eye lotion." I'm like, "What the hell am I gonna do?" And I actually wasted an hour calling homeless shelters to see if I could get rid of the unopened ones. But since the unopened ones were no longer in their original packaging, and I'm thinking, what am I going to go driving around to 15 homeless shelters to get rid of like 0.02 ounces of eye-nourishing night cream? The whole thing is just beyond comprehension. And it's the first time in my life that I've really been unhappy about being a stalker-upper and coming from a family of stalker-uppers.
Even when I had a pantry, I wasn't a stalker-upper. And I made sure that there was what we needed in there.
Yeah.
But now I have no pantry. So I do have paper plates, I think.
You do have a pantry. It's the guest room. I saw it. It
Right,
has
well,
7
guest room
jars, 7 jars of turkey gravy in there.
Well, not anymore. It's all used up. Anyway, we run out of napkins. We use paper towels. It's whatever here. We go with the flow. I went to Sam's Club today, so now I have 3 bottles of ketchup.
Ketchup's one of those things that shows up at my house because it's left at the block party.
Yes, ketchup for some reason we never seem to have. What else did I get at Sam's Club? Pepper, because we had no pepper. I've never been without pepper in my life. So this time I bought this great big giant thing as
Stocked up?
big as
You
my water
stocked
bottle.
up. You stocked
I did.
up. You
I
stocked
up on
finally.
pepper. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, is that bottle of pepper going to survive you or will you survive it?
Oh, it will definitely survive me because I don't use it that often. I don't like pepper.
Ah, why did you buy it?
Well, because if a recipe needs it, I'll put it in there.
Even if you don't like it?
You usually can't taste it.
I don't want to think about that recipe. I put
So I have to tell you, I have to tell you about my little long weekend vacation in Mexico.
I do want to hear about that. Now, I'm just absorbing the fact that you are. I think the world is now sort of built into two categories. There are the stocker uppers and the make-doers.
I guess I'm in the gray area right now because I do have a lot of ketchup and pepper.
That's one of those would you rather questions. Would you rather it out of ketchup or toilet paper?
I don't use ketchup usually, so I would vote for the toilet paper, and it has to be a specific brand.
It was so bad at my relative's household. My brother left a giant bag of like toilet paper, hand lotion, all this stuff across the hall in front of the door of the neighbor, like some awful terrorist bomb. I think he told them he was doing it, but I'm not sure. If you came home and found like a year's supply of toilet paper and 7 giant bottles of Jergens hand lotion and Lord knows what else, he stuck me with 2 unopened bottles. I mean, like the half-gallon kind of laundry fabric softener. I don't use that stuff. How did it even get here? And I'm beyond. How did he
Yeah, I don't
sneak it
use
into my
fabric
house?
softener.
Did he come to pay a condolence calling like, don't show anybody, but there are 5 gallons of fabric softener I had to get rid of out of the house, and I'm leaving them here by the bicycle. I don't know how.
Hostess gifts. Hostess gifts.
Ah,
Anybody invites you somewhere, you bring a gallon of
a
fabric
snuggle.
softener.
Bring him a gallon of snuggle. Here you go.
Yep.
Here, have some snuggle. Make a drink with it. If the kids can eat Tide Pods, there's got to be some cocktail you can make out of snuggle. So tell me about Mexico, speaking of cocktails.
All right, so we drove because it's usually a 6-hour drive, but we left in like a screaming blizzard. I mean, it was really, really bad. But we had already had our reservations, and of course, I never take out insurance on anything unless I have to by law.
Uh,
So we leave in a blizzard. It took us like 8.5, maybe 9 hours to get there.
uh,
We've always gone in Juke Perry, my little blue Juke. Every time we crossed a border, one way or another, we got pulled over and searched. Every single time.
in Juke Perry.
Yes. This time, we're in the grandpa and grandma vehicle, the big old Ford Edge
Yeah.
that I knocked the side panel off like the second week that we had it, and it hasn't been replaced.
Okay.
They didn't even ask for our passports. They just waved us through.
Huh.
Even with my long-haired hippie husband who has yet to have gray hair,
Well,
they just waved us right through.
maybe it was something else. Did you put the Grateful Dead stickers on the new car?
No, no, no.
Maybe
There's no
that's-
stickers on the new car.
But maybe that's why.
For the last 25 years, my car has had a plastic license plate holder that says, "You suck and that's sad." And I've had it for 25 years. I kept it. They just waved us through coming back, too.
Did you?
We never once showed our passport. Last time they asked for, I think, if you remember, we took Duke Perry and we had forgotten to renew the license plate.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it was 3 days late or something, and they wouldn't let us cross.
I remember.
This time we just boom right through.
Well, maybe
Saying,
they're
"Come
trying
back."
to make it up to you for last time.
But we stayed in a little hotel this time. We've been staying at these different big resorts on the ocean.
Right.
This time we stayed in a smaller resort on the ocean where every single room had a view of the ocean.
Nice.
And all the other resorts had like rules. You know, they're like Airbnbs and condos and that kind of stuff. Like no noise after 9, you know, blah, 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 blah. Pool shuts down at 9:30. This hotel, and we didn't know what was going on, but it was literally full of Mexicans celebrating. They were celebrating Good Friday, which I didn't know was a celebration holiday. They celebrated all night Friday, and then they celebrated all day Saturday, all night Saturday, and then there was a huge party on Sunday, and it wasn't actually quiet until Monday night,
Wow.
and then we left on Tuesday. Crazy huge parties in this little resort, like 15 people to a room. Someone hired a freaking mariachi band to stand over right over the border because there's a certain part of the beach that's like public domain.
Right.
So the mariachi band stood in the public domain part of the beach
Yeah.
and just blasted music. We sat out on our deck watching it. Our room was quiet. You couldn't. Frankie said he could hear it all night. I couldn't hear anything all night
Well,
because I
because
don't
you
hear
take your
anyway.
hearing aids out,
Yeah,
then you can't hear it.
exactly.
Then they could be under your bed. You wouldn't hear it.
But yeah, someone had a quinceanera. There was another, like a giant birthday party. It was nuts, so crazy.
So you
We
weren't
kind of
staying.
liked
You
it.
weren't staying in the Gringo Resort this time. You were in the
Well, I
locals.
guess not. We liked it though. We live in such silence and quiet out here. Like the only thing you hear are my dogs.
Mm.
Then it was kind of fun to be around lots of different music and people doing different things. And
I've lived in those neighborhoods a lot, and the only time it's problematic
For some families in the neighborhood, it was a communal family activity to gather and work on somebody's car. And
oh yeah,
and for some
I told you
reason,
that- yeah.
this particular, it was the superintendent of the little building where I lived. He was
Yeah.
the designated guy with the car, and so on a Sunday morning at like 7 or 8 in the morning, they'd be over there with the cerveza and the music and working on their cars, and that was hard. That was really a hard one to sleep through. But other than that,
Well, a couple of my kids grew up near Wrigley Field, and on that street,
I love this.
everybody was underneath a car. Molly, who's my oldest now, when we lived in this neighborhood and Ben was born, couldn't find Molly one day, looked and looked and looked all over the house. Then I saw her little 2-year-old feet sticking out from underneath Ben's crib. And what are you doing, Molly? And she said, I'm working on my car. But anyway, Mexico. So everyone was partying for my birthday except us. We watched a movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but we took our Fire Stick with us so that we could watch English TV.
uh-huh.
And so we were watching this movie about this huge scandal about this older woman and this younger man.
Oh boy.
They were 17 years apart. We're watching this movie where it's like this big scandal. And I didn't realize till after that was our age gap.
Oh, that's nice. What did Frankie say afterwards?
We just both laughed.
That's why you're good together.
And then we went out on the dock and listened to more mariachi music.
I mean, you really kind of swung the pendulum the other way, because the last husband of the many husbands you've had was like
Many.
95 years older than you. So it just
That's
averages
true.
out. It averages out.
Yeah, it does. I guess it does.
It's an important
I'll take
thing.
the younger ones. Thank you very much.
And that's why you need some math skills, so that you can just sort of average out the bad against the good.
Yeah. We did take on my birthday a sunset cruise,
Oh,
which was really nice.
nice.
Except you know me.
You wanted the candy
am not-
drink. The candy drink, and then you hurled.
Not a drink.
Ah, come on. You had the candy drink, and then you hurled.
No, I didn't hurl, but they made me do a shot of tequila. Like, my mouth burned up. But there were like dolphins swimming next to us and seals, and they were playing Journey. It wasn't mariachi music.
What's that change? Yeah.
For a change, yeah, I could understand what they were singing, and there were like nice people on the little cruise.
I was just kind of wondering if there was some kind of Easter pageant or observance in the town near the resort.
We thought that Easter was kind of a quiet, solemn holiday,
What?
and
How can anything that's
don't know.
celebrated with a chocolate egg be a quiet, solemn holiday?
I don't know. Don't ask me hard questions. We kind of thought everyone would be in church on Easter. but they were at the Church of
They're at the Church of
Loud Music.
Mariachi.
Yep. So yeah, that was our vacation, but it was restful because we weren't here.
Yeah, no goats to feed. Are the goats gone yet, by the way?
No.
Thanks for listening to Tory Writers' She Said What podcast. We're glad you found us, and I hope you'll find my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's all true, but I've changed the names of the people and the radio stations and a bunch of other stuff because I'd prefer not to get sued. You can find it at your neighborhood independent bookstore or on Amazon.